Welcome to the Limbwalkers podcast. I'm Jim Delo. He's Will Glaros. Hi, Will.
Hey, Jimmy. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay. And she is Adriana Alvarez. She is a 21-year-old Purdue Northwest student, and she has taken it and run with it. It is her podcast network that we are on. She runs it. She markets it. She produces it. It's all Adriana, and we're just kind of like bit players in this thing. If you want your own podcast, go to Adriana, 2 N's, at WJOB1230.com, and you can be part of the 15 podcasts. Is that right? Is it 12 or 15, or how many you got? 16. All right, so she must have added one in the last 24 hours. And I don't know. Will people think that it's a little bit much to have somebody that's 21 years old basically running WJOB content? It's a 102-year-old radio station. It's an institution around here. A lot of people look to me as the owner. But I tell them, if you got a problem, you got to call her.
That's smart. Pass off the responsibility to those you're putting in charge. They're the ones that are making the decisions.
And so it's kind of weird, oddly ironic, in that I was brought in here as a 22-year-old buck and worked for Julian Colby, and he just shared everything with me, and I thought it was overkill, and all of a sudden here I am. It's just very difficult times here politically and emotionally in America and media-wise, and I find myself drawing on the many times he brought me in his office and just started smoking a cigar and telling me how life was.
So are you doing the same thing?
I try not to be as, I guess kind of whimsical about it and trying to hear myself talk about how, a lot of times he would start talking and just keep going. And now I would, and pull that mic up just to you a little bit. And then now I wish he was still alive so I could ask him a question. You know what I mean? And so there's a little bit of incomplete knowledge there, and I got to fill it in myself. But, I think he realized that there was somebody who loved the craft and the business. And I think the same thing about Adriana there. That is the first compliment I've ever given her. And I think that she's going to cut that out.
I'm glad I'm part of it. Woohoo!
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, guess what? Our program next week is going to be specifically focused on Adriana, and who's our other guest?
Me and Matt are going to come on the podcast.
They're going to come on the podcast, and we're going to talk about young Limbwalkers and what they're facing out there and where their future takes them.
DJ Matt is also involved with, it's basically 2 PNW students that are running a 102-year-old radio station.
That's great.
Because I'm over here working on sports and that kind of thing. We built a whole sports network. If you're listening to this podcast, we're recording it on the campus of Purdue Northwest. And we just try everything, and we have all the tech available that we want. We stumbled on a sports network that is just going on fire. And our traditional radio station is pivoting to a podcast network. So I'm just I'm going to get out of here doing this podcast. It's beautiful out. Here we are recording in September. Used to call it Indian summer. You don't really call it that anymore. But it has just been amazing. And I want to get out to the golf course as soon as I can possibly get there.
With your 2 sticks.
Yes, with 1 stick, 2 balls. That is Jed Golf. And I told you Pete Corellis is in on it, and I'm losing I'm gaining momentum. And what you do is, instead of going out and playing for 5 hours with your buddy and getting all drunk and then making you're the man, all that kind of stuff, you just take 1 club, usually a 7-iron, you take 2 balls, that's all you get. If you lose them, you got to walk back to the clubhouse and you play the course. There's all sorts of rules associated with Jed Golf, but you're done with 9 holes in about 50 minutes. And if you live close, I live 7 minutes away. I will leave and be home 1 hour and 2 minutes later.
For 9 holes.
Yeah, just get out. I walk to the tee and I play. There's nobody on the course because it's either late or it's bad weather.
I got to tell you something. I sit here with you. I'm amazed every time we are on the air. Because first of all, you're talking about the risky life you lived right out of college into the market and all that stuff, and the risks you took and going broke and making it. And it always makes me, I've never been that risk-oriented where I was willing to take those large risks. But
that's what makes this podcast work. We have two sides.
You're exactly right. And I'll tell you what, I mean, I see you doing that. Then I see you coming here and offering to buy this station, a legend in the region. And then you have the guts to put your trust in a 21-year-old young lady graduating from Purdue and the rest of the team that is part of this, and you're willing to trust in their abilities to make it happen when most people would sit back and go, oh, no, I want all these experienced people in here. It's their enthusiasm based on your risk-taking that's going to make this a success. It already is, but even bigger.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you. But first of all, what happens is as soon as they get really good, Chicago takes them, and we've lost people to Big Ten Network. We lost people to Barstool. Adriana's already interning at a Chicago media that recognizes her talents and is on the air in Chicago at 21 years old. So, I mean, this is easy when they come this talented and this respectful of the craft. But a main thing about that is we're recording this podcast on the campus. Students walking in, students right there, Jaime, and Jaime's a student, right? And he's just all in on marketing. That's all he thinks about. It's all he does. Well, come here. We'll give you a job, and it's easy to find. And we're picking the top people. And I know some of the professors over there say, "Hey, man, all right, well, you need to get this guy. If he's good, bring him over. Or she's good, bring her over." And that it's what's coming. And what is, a lot of people bemoan the youngest, the young generation. Like, I'll give you an example. Union leaders a lot are like, well, hey, young guys going into the field. We have 7 different unions here, and so I talk to all of them. And I'm like, what is it? Well, the young guys don't get it. They don't get it. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you that I'm looking at it the other way. Part of it is they're not getting it because you're not setting up the kind of not internships. I mean, they go to apprenticeship school and they're supposed to learn it that way. But you got to get in their heads, too. Yeah. It's not just how do you turn a pipe wrench or, how do you operate a bulldozer or how do you run a jackhammer. That's not how this is. What it is how do you conduct yourself in building the biggest projects there are here in Northwest Indiana, and these are some of the biggest things in the world. One of the largest steel mills in the world, and one of the largest refineries.
That's a matter of, I think, those people in leadership knowing that they have to change their educational direction in order to impact those kids, to get them excited about what they're doing and about where they want to go. The trades have made the region. They have. And
they're having a huge golf outing that I'm probably going to go to right after this. They are.
Well, that's what you were talking about, getting out of here and being on the.
Yeah, well, I'm
one
not
club
playing.
Or you got the whole.
Well,
club?
I'll probably just, they set me up on a par 3, and they say, all right, if just anybody comes through, they can use your shot. You know what I mean? And then I get to meet everybody coming through, and it's nice. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you're right about the trades have made this an excellent place to do big business, but you have to replenish the trades.
It's like anything else. And the way you do that is you have to be flexible enough to be able to know you've got to change. What you're trying to do is build a tradesman that's going to be a craftsman long term, and they're going to be expected to put up.
Oh, I did it again. She can't stand. No, we're live, but she can't stand when I say she, the content manager of the WJOB podcast network, doesn't like it when I put my coffee cup down so loudly.
We gotta get some coasters. That's all that it is.
Oh my God! It is. Is that a gene in women?
No, it's because all I hear is clink, clink. clink, clink when he's talking. I don't care about the rings on the table.
That helps wake me up every 3 seconds, so I'm good. This is good.
I was like, no. And I was just like, he knows. No, he doesn't. Clink, clink, clink. I'm like, no. So continue.
So on these apprenticeship programs, and these guys all write me big checks and want to get in on the high school connections.
Sure,
and
absolutely.
They want the future. They want to reach the future plumbers or carpenters, laborers, all of them. And I don't really push with this idea, but maybe I should. It's like when you go into those apprenticeship schools, I wonder if they are teaching you not just the craft, but the craft mentality. When I came up as a laborer 41 guy, I got a permit as a 16-year-old, and then I worked all the way through the summers, and then I worked a little bit after I was in college and thought maybe I'd go in, being a laborer and a contractor and that kind of stuff. But at every step of the way, there was somebody on a job that took me aside and said, hey, listen, you know what? One of them was, this is, you're not a bad worker, but when I tell you to roll up a hose, I can't even take it, so I'm going to show you how to roll up a hose. And it wasn't just showing me how to roll up a hose. He was showing me the attention to detail.
Yeah.
And he was showing me that you need to show younger laborers how to do certain things that they are weak at. And it was almost like you had your apprenticeship, but you also have your mentorships on the job sites. And to some extent, I feel like that's missing a little bit in the trades.
Well, I think that may be expectation of the people coming in, assuming they know it. I mean, if you've got a history of a family where one generation after the other's been in a trade, they learn to do it a certain specific way.
Yes.
And now you've got people coming in who have no experience. In fact, the trades for a while look like, what's the future? Where's it going out there? It's here forever. And the bottom line is, you've got to have that continuum of education. I don't know how they're doing it right now in each of the different trades. My guess is they've got it figured out and they're trying to do it. The flexible part of this is the student is coming, and depending on the age of the training group, if there's a fairly significant difference, you're going to have different ways of having been raised in expectation. Well, we just don't work that hard. Or we don't, like today, we've got a meeting at 10 o'clock. I'm making this up. And people will go, well, what the heck, if we get there at 10:10, no big deal. I will tell you, my wife and I laugh about this all the time. We get wherever we're going as a couple or individually on our own, for appointments or whatever, we're there a minute before we're supposed to be there. That, to me, is a common courtesy you pay to people. Today, a lot of people don't take time that seriously. I think it's in respect to the time that the individual is willing to give you. You honor that time.
Adriana, Miss 7:12 in the morning over here.
Is that late, Adriana?
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
What do you mean?
All right. Like, we're talking about the younger generation. Mm-hmm. She was doing her homework.
Yeah. I'm doing research for my marketing class, actually.
And
flexibility.
He's saying that the younger generation does not
all
pay as much attention to time as we would have in previous generations.
I think it's a different way we pay attention to time. So, for instance, I think now depends on what they work as, but for instance, my brother, he works at Lear Corporations here in Hammond, and he does the night shifts and the day shifts, and he'll switch on and off. Like, so, for instance, his schedule may be Mondays and Wednesdays he's working day shifts, Tuesdays and Thursdays he's working that night shift, and he has that concept whereas, okay, I may be working 12 to 16 hours a day, but I have my day for this and I have my night for this. It's kind of like a different concept of time. For us college kids, we'll think of it as, okay, if I have to go to work from, for instance, today I'll probably work from 7 until probably noon here in the studio, and then I have 2 hours, and I go to class, and then I continue doing more work later on in the night. And it's just kind of like we see the hours of the day as until I feel that I'm burning myself out, that's when it's time to stop, opposed to as at 8 o'clock, I'm done working for the day, I can do the rest tomorrow. I think we have that concept of there's not enough hours in the day, so we have to kind of cram everything into there. Yes, we may be exhausted the next day, but at least everything's done.
But when you have a meeting or an appointment at a specific time, how important is it to you and to get there actually on time?
It depends the importance of the meeting, yes. I would say that I've grew up on the concept that if you have a meeting or a job interview, you are there 15 minutes beforehand. And because 5 minutes early is on time, but on time is late. We have that concept, especially with job interviews and especially in sports as well, because you're late to practice, you're running, and nobody wants to run.
You should teach a course.
We'll see how much they get out of that, yeah.
But I think Adriana brings up a good point. Yeah. And I hadn't really thought about this, in that, like, here we are more project-based, and I can't watch every one of these and tell them hours.
That's true.
It's all and Adriana, I'm texting her, and I'm like, hey, what about this? So she goes on times that she wouldn't really be on the clock,
right,
and she would have to adjust the calendar or adjust edit some podcasts. Now, certainly, they're to charge the hours here, but the hours are not as structured, and perhaps that's really part of how people work now.
Yeah.
Here at WJOB, you used to have to come in and punch that clock. You didn't do anything before, and you didn't do anything after you punched that clock out.
It's interesting because he gets emails on Dropbox if somebody moves around a lot of stuff. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why it gives the emails, but he realizes that I'm doing work like later on in the nighttime. And I know you told me, you're like, what are you doing awake at 2:30 in the morning? I'm like, I'm just editing. Like, I got time to do it. I don't got to be up early till next morning. Let me edit.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
It is a different work world, and you work in a different environment within that world. It isn't quite as structured. My business for my entire life was all structured on appointments, being there on time. If you weren't there on time, sometimes you never got to see the guy you were trying to meet for the first time to do business with. So promptness was important. But I understand when you're in an environment like this, which is project-oriented, and with a timeline that you want to get it done, you've got some flexibility within there to do it, because you're not really taking somebody's time specifically with a specific meeting that they now go, what the hell, you never showed up. I could have used that more effectively. So I think understanding the workplace is important in that stat.
Well, I think also there's a secondary part to what I was talking about, the trades, and that is, look how quietly I'm putting that down.
Good job.
Did you see that? Well, I think that, like in the trades, that it was kind of an informal mentorship, and like I would go over here and it would be raining in February, and I'd go sit on the bench at the laborers hall, and they didn't have any work for me, so I would do what everybody else did. After waiting about 2 hours, I would go and hit all the bars. Well, then all of a sudden you're hitting the Kennedy Avenue bars with other people that don't have work that day but may be experienced, and all of the trades were right there on Kennedy Avenue, so you may be drinking with an operator, or the carpenters were over here a little bit further away, but our operator or a plumber or a pipe fitter, and you're talking about different things on the work site, and you would learn what their issues are and how they approach things, and it just kind of settled into you informally. Well, they're not doing that. I mean, a young laborer comes to work, he never sees another older laborer, probably doesn't want to listen to him or her, and there isn't that connection. And that has bothered me about how do you pass along the attitude of the craft. And it's different. Now, like here we are at WJOB, I mean, not a lot of people pick up on the craft of radio and the craft of audio.
Yeah.
and Adriana has kind of gotten into it, and you could see it. And, that's a kind of a declining art. It's coming back very quickly. But you have to notice it. Most of the people here just gravitate to sports on TV. It's very exciting, okay?
Right.
And what we're doing right now is kind of exciting, and that's a podcast. But radio itself, kids don't want to know about it. They don't want to learn.
Yeah.
And
it's not how they communicate or get their information any longer.
Yes. We're talking to, my name's Jim Deedlow. This is Will Glaros. And we do record these podcasts live on AM 1230 and 104.7 in Hammond, Indiana. So we can't take a break or anything. We just keep going. And but I don't really have to. That's why I always go to the bathroom before. But I do want to mention that if you are watching it on YouTube, which would be WJOB 1230, or in other areas, Will Glaros has now grown a goatee.
Yes, I have.
Is that what that's called, Adriana? When a totally gray-haired individual I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I was going to say, goatee's just a universal term when you have, like, the hair right here, like, on your chin and, like, a little bit above the mustache, I think. Yeah.
Well, that was till this morning. This morning, I always try to grow the beard. I like that kind of rough look that goes with a full beard. The problem is you can't see mine from the ears down to about here, down to about the bottom part of my jaw. I mean, it's bad. But I do this once a year. I get dirty, and then one morning I wake up and I go, God, I hate doing this every morning, and I just cut it off. And that's it.
Well,
It'll be gone in a week, maybe.
The thing about, I got a buddy, he's actually a brain doctor I went to college with in Los Angeles. And once in a while he grows a goatee, and it's all gray since he was like 35.
Well, I've been gray since I was 32, I think.
Yeah, same idea. And I'm like, dude, I just want to tell you that when you grow a goatee, you look like a freaking billy goat. And he's just like,
oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, but you don't look nearly as bad as Dr. Naylor, but not as pronounced as, I don't mean bad, but pronounced as Dr. Naylor. But it's certainly a, now mine's kind of white.
You've got that dark, that like
I got a little bit of dark.
You got a sub mustache. You got like one over your lip and one under your bottom lip.
Yeah, and my granddaughter's like, Gampy, why is your beard all white? Because it's changed so much in the last 2 years. I go, well, that's because I got to chase grandkids, and it's taken it out of me. But remember, the purpose of the podcast here is that there's a limb on a tree, and it's right behind us if you're watching us, and you could see it. Will Glaros is standing out on that limb. Ostensibly, the podcast is about risk.
It is about risk, but it's life study is what it is, because yes, we all start out as basic little babies, and we grow and we're filled with information and sometimes scared to death with information, and we go to a point where we're using, I always like to use the analogy of we're at the base of the tree, and if we want to experience more out of life, you have to walk out on the limbs of that tree and take a little bit of risk, or you'll never taste the fruit that's sitting out there. Sometimes it's minor steps that people take, and it's each individual's decision in life. I can't make them couldn't make them for my kids, can't make them for my grandkids, can't make them for other people. You have to have something within you that you want so badly that you'll take a step out and risk a little bit to get there.
Now that comes from a man who has lived 50 years in risk assessment, which is insurance.
Yeah.
Health insurance, life insurance, business insurance. It is all basically a hedge against something going wrong, and I need to access my insurance. And inherent in insurance people are people that are very aware of risk.
Yeah.
I mean, that it is right at the top of mind, and tend to not walk out on that limb as much.
You're talking about insurance people?
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never looked and studied at that. It's each individual. It just depends. I think for you to make that move out on that limb, you've got to see something you want. You've got to see that piece of fruit that means something to you. I mean, I've been through it a number of different times. I've got a dream right now that I want to make happen. And that is, and I've shared it before with you, and that is that we've got this country full of young adults who are facing some of the most incredible mental health challenges that exist. The differences between the political parties, the hate that's going on, the shooting, like this past week. And we need to be training and taking these kids and preparing them to meet those types of issues they're going to face in their life. And we don't do that. What we do is we wait till they're facing the issue, and then we come back and say, here's the tools to help you deal with that. Wouldn't it be smarter to prepare people to deal with it before the issues come up so that they're prepared and they look at it and say, okay, this is a life decision. Do I make this decision? How do I make it? Who does it impact? Having those skills, I want to help teach kids how to have those skills so they have mental wealth. They actually get something that it's inherently within them to have this mental health and wealth that is so valuable to them in being able to take those risks and to venture out on that limb. It's a new thing, Jim. And I've had I wanted to win the Hammond Times Junior Golf Championship 60 years ago.
How'd that go?
I won it.
Really?
Because I put myself to work.
Are you still a decent golfer?
I don't play much because of my knees and everything else. I can be tolerable, maybe not in your 2-club golf game. But I'd almost like to try one day, but you got to let me go on a cart.
All right, so, the thing that I did in the last podcast with Matt Hansen, episode 76, I believe, on mastering local marketing, is I was very surprised. He wanted to come in and tell all the times that he failed in marketing. And I'm like, wow, and I made a joke. I go, this is like the Matt Hansen Failure Hall of Fame. And he's like, oh, absolutely. I want failures. I want to know what I did wrong. It's feedback from the market and feedback telling me where to go next. He goes, yeah, I mean, in the beginning, I didn't like to fail. Nobody does. But then I learned, wow, this is where I learn. Yeah. What is your attitude toward failure?
Exactly the same as Matt's. I do believe that with each time that you go out and venture to achieve something and you fail at it, you learn a couple of things. Number one, do I want to proceed to do that again with a little different method to see if I can make it work? Do I quit? What do I do? You learn from failures. From each failure, you can learn something about the field you're dealing in, and you're not doing it successfully and you fail. Or it can be in your attitude. It could be in the way you apply yourself to achieve the goal you're after. I mean, I'm a firm believer that if you want to achieve something, you need to plan it in here subconsciously. And the best way to do that is to write it down on paper and read it multiple times every day. Setting goals. That's how you do it. You find something you want badly enough, this brain will find a way to get you there, especially if it means enough to you.
Adriana, I was looking on my phone for the Limbwalkers Creed. I think I just have it on my keychain over there, but we'll get it as a sign there. There you go. Thank you. We'll get it up on the screen, but I want to read it one more time because, I'm a slacker and I'm a risk taker, and Will is has always been a very focused in person, And he's also a risk taker, but he will, understand the risk a little bit better. I'm just like, hey, why not? And so there's a little bit different attitudes. But I'm starting to come around to this, and that is I'm special and unique. I will define a vision and plan. I will be disciplined, positive attitude, work hard, go the extra mile, look for the best in everyone, learn from adversity and defeat, help others to grow, which we were just talking about, and honor time. And that's one that I didn't quite get, but I kind of get into it a little bit more as I'm getting a little bit older. And it is not a bad creed if you can just pick one and kind of bring it through your mind. But the one thing that sticks to me out of doing this podcast many times with Will is something that's kind of hard to define, but as he's saying, write it down and write it down and write it down, and it gets imprinted on your unconscious, subconscious, and you can kind of be drawn to it. I'll give you an example. You're sitting 120 yards out, for golfers will understand this, and 135 yards out, right? And you're younger, you pull a 9-iron out, you're in your 40s, you pull an 8-iron, pulling 40 and up, 50 and above, you probably pull an 8-iron out from 140, right? So you pull out your 8-iron, and the pin is stuck way in the corner of the green. And you know that it is a sucker pin, and that you should not go for that pin, you should go for the center of the green. And that's what you're taught. You're saying, hey, just go there. And Lee Trevino was always really good about it. He's like, just go for the center of the green. Your mind will take, if you're that good, your mind will kind of kick you over here to the part of the green that you may want to get a little closer to. And that's kind of how I compare to what you have said. It's like if you really concentrate on focusing on some goals and vision, and you make them specific enough to write them down, that you may just find yourself subconsciously drawing toward them. I did not get that until we started doing this podcast.
Well, I'm glad. It is a matter of seeing what you want. That perception, it works through, goes to your subconscious. When it gets to your subconscious, it develops a purpose. There's a reason you want it to happen. And then you begin to follow the path to make that purpose occur. I've shared with you a number of times when I brought Zig Ziglar here years ago and filled the Omni Sports Complex with 1,800 people. It started 3 or 4 years before the date we had him, having been at a seminar of his and sitting down with another gentleman and saying, I want to bring Zig Ziglar to the region. It took 4 years to make it happen. But I never lost sight of it. And guess what happened every Friday? Friday was Dream Day. That's when I would rewrite my list of dreams and goals I wanted to achieve every Friday. And every Friday I'd write, I want to bring Zig Ziglar to the region. And ultimately, after that period in time, it happened. Didn't matter. I mean, we made a little bit of money on doing that. We were lucky they approved us to do it because they normally only work through seminar groups. But it was a goal. I wouldn't take no for an answer. I kept going back with alternatives. And we finally made a 4-year-old written down on paper goal, a goal. But every Friday during that period and since then, that goal list has been written every Friday what I want to achieve. Right now, the major thing in that goal list is to find a way to teach kids at earlier ages these things they need to know about goal setting and discipline, never giving up, having a positive attitude, treating people with kindness, being humble. You know, these are skills that if they learn those things, these catastrophic and less catastrophic events that are happening today, you're going to make it through because you know there's another side to it. And you can survive it.
He's Will Glaros. This is the Limbwalkers podcast, Limb Walkers. And please like it on wherever you're getting your podcast, on Apple, Spotify. You can also watch us on YouTube. Just type in WJOB 1230 or type in Limbwalkers. Anything to add to that, Adriana?
Nope, just you can get it wherever you get your podcasts, and we are also live on YouTube. All of the streams go straight to our YouTube Live, so if you have trouble finding it, just click that YouTube Live and you'll find all of those, as well as it is under the Limbwalkers podcast folder.
All right, thanks a lot, Will.
Thank you, Jimmy. Good event, and next week we're going to have Adriana on our program.
Yes, I am super, super excited.
She's Adriana Alvarez. He's Will Glaros. I'm Jim Diedlow. Thanks for listening. Till next time, see you later.
Yep,
see you later.
I can't do that.
Not just yet.
Not yet.
Here we go.
All right, there you go.
Okay.